Drew, the other night, wasn't it?
Yeah, he advocated for Republicans going all the way to the mat on that issue. And Speaker Paul Ryan, like you just showed, tried really to pump the brakes on that threat.
So where does this leave us? It seems like Speaker Ryan and Mitch McConnell both sort of poured water on what Donald Trump said.
Yeah, there are a number of Republicans that would like to see them secure money for a border wall who are advocating for that. But I'm not sure that means they want to risk a government shutdown or they'd be willing to go that far. Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan know that they most likely will need some Democrats to vote with them to pass basic spending bills to keep just the lights on in the government. And so far, Democrats aren't budging on money for the border wall.
It's one thing to shut down the government. It's another thing not to raise the debt ceiling. Was he threatening not to raise the debt ceiling?
It's unclear. It sort of depends on how those bills are written. Sometimes they try to do them all together. Other times those are two separate pieces of legislation. Sometimes they're negotiated together. So it sort of depends. I don't think that he was explicitly saying we shouldn't raise the debt ceiling, but that has been used as sort of a negotiating tactic in the past. Staunch conservatives in the Republican Party have tried to oppose any increase to the debt and threaten the country defaulting on the debt as a way to try to get their way when it comes to other spending bills.
Yeah, Mary Alice Parks, I'm confused. I thought Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Why is Donald Trump now talking about us paying for the wall?
You know, the White House has had to sort of dance a funny line around those statements. You know, the president still says that they will figure out how Mexico somehow will pay for the wall, but it's less seen as a direct payment and more of something that they would figure out in the long term as they renegotiate trade deals. But I think a lot of Republicans on Capitol Hill have always thought that was a little bit of a myth, that if you want something built on U.S. soil, taxpayers would have to pay for it.
This is kind of like Kramer on Seinfeld, right? We'll pay for it, and then Kramer's going to pay us back later. Mexico's going to pay us back later.
I think that is still what the president is advocating for, at least publicly.
And even though Mexico said we are never going to pay for a wall.
That's right. And it's part of the reason that there's even some Republicans that just think this is way too expensive. And it's interesting is that there's actually the biggest group of opposing Republicans are from those border states. There's Republicans in Texas and Arizona and New Mexico. They're the ones that say this isn't thought out and this might not be as effective as some of my colleagues think.
And the people who live near the border don't want the wall either.
Yeah, it tends to be pretty unpopular, actually, the closer you get to the border, and partly because a lot of folks realize that there's already some different fencing, or there's rivers, there's local law enforcement that's doing some of their own work, and that a wall could be really expensive, and people aren't sure just how effective it could be.
Mary Alice Parks, ABC News correspondent, following this story. Mary Alice, thanks for checking in.